Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Conversation about. It is the team that we talk about a lot here on the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. It is the Kentucky Wildcats who in SEC play. Obviously, the SEC is just a gauntlet, but kind of an interesting kind of scheduling deal. Remember, Kentucky had a week off. They lost to Alabama at home last week. And it was kind of one of those things. Okay, I think we did a reaction on this show last Sunday morning. And I think we all kind of sat there and said, okay, we're not going to overreact. Alabama is the #1 scoring offense in college basketball. They're a great team. They're a national championship contender. When Kentucky has a week off, Kentucky goes and plays what I would argue is maybe their worst game of the season, certainly their worst half of the season. And I got to say it, Kentucky kind of feels like they're sort of regressing, kind of sort of feels like they hit a wall. I'm not ready to do anything negative to Mark Pope, but I think some of the goodwill is slipping away as Kentucky has now lost a second straight SEC game to fall to 3-3 in the SEC, 14-5 overall. And again, I think there's two simple things to talk about. One is this team regressing, and there are some big picture issues that are really emerging, okay? First of all, before we even get to Kentucky, I'd be remiss. I don't want to undersell what Vanderbilt is doing. Vandy, for years, has struggled. They were not good in the Jerry Stackhouse era. And it's interesting. Like, you kind of wondered in the NIL portal era, is this just a program that's never going to be relevant in the SEC again? Everybody's got money. Everybody can get players. Vandy's got academic requirements that are a little bit different than basically everybody else in the SEC. Is this just a team that time has passed by and they'll never be good again? Well, as it turns out, you just need the right coach. But even this year, I'll say this, is like they went 12-1 in the out of conference. And I kind of said, okay, like that's great. But again, are they really that good? Or was it just kind of a week out of conference schedule? They're improved, but they'll be kind of a, team in the 13-16 range in the SEC. Well, I think it's safe to say that ain't going to be the case because for the second time in the last 2 Saturdays, they get a big home win. Last week it was against Kentucky, or last week it was against Tennessee. This week it was against Kentucky. For Kentucky in this game, or for Vandy in this game, let's go ahead and give them credit. They dominated the first half. I think it was the worst half period that Kentucky has played, but don't think we should undersell what Vandy did, jumping out to the 14-point halftime lead. The Edwards kid was phenomenal. 18 points for him. Jason Edwards on 6 of 11 shooting from the field. He was phenomenal, as I said, in this game. Mark Pope actually addressed it after. He's like, we knew he was good. We didn't know he was quite that good. So don't want to undersell Vandy, who is now 14-3, if my math is 16-4, excuse me. I don't know where I got 14-3. 16-4, win over Tennessee, win over Kentucky, 4-3 in the SEC. This is going to be an NCAA tournament team. Mark Byington deserves all the credit in the world for what he's done. At the same time, though, we got to go ahead and talk about Kentucky because, listen, this isn't sky is falling. This isn't end of the world. I do think there have to be a couple concerns, though, going forward. One, first of all, injuries. I don't know if you want to say they're mounting or what, but just it's not good, right? Andrew Carr, one of your best players, is out for this game. He's been kind of dealing with a back injury all season. But here's my question, and this is where I would be concerned if I was a Kentucky fan. If Andrew Carr can't play in this game after a week off, what can you realistically expect to get from him the rest of the year? Because again, you're talking about a team that just had a week off heading into this game. Andrew Carr doesn't play. Now, listen, I understand that maybe, just maybe, with Tennessee on Tuesday night, that is a game in Knoxville. Like, I do understand this idea that maybe, just maybe, you thought maybe we can get through the Vandy game without Andrew Carr. Maybe we can get him healthy for Tennessee, but it doesn't change the fact that, again, off of essentially a bye week, we don't call it a bye week in basketball, but off of a bye week, this kid was not healthy. That is concerning. And if he is not healthy after a week off, you wonder how healthy he's going to be at any point the rest of the year. Second thing, Lamont Butler. Everybody else is speculating. I have no personal information. he does not look 100%. He played, really struggled, I think, for the first time in SEC play, 2 of 7 from the field, 6 turnovers. I believe the stat was he had 3 turnovers the entire season in SEC play coming into that game, had 6 turnovers in this game. And he doesn't look 100%. Remember, what was it? 2 or 3 games ago, Kentucky fans, I'm blanking on which one. Maybe it was I think it was the Texas A&M game. He went down with an elbow injury. He went down with a shoulder. I mean, he was just getting killed out there, and he just does not look like himself. But again, I think to me, the single biggest issue is that you just don't know what you're getting from most of these guys on any given night. Now, I got to give credit where it's due. Otega-Oweh, I was a little critical of him early in the year, basically said, he scores a lot, but there are games where he is very inefficient. Well, he came to play on Saturday, and he really has been probably the most consistent player for Kentucky all year, has scored in double figures every game. He was by far the best player that they had on Saturday, 21 points in this game, 12 rebounds, another monster dunk, and he was very efficient in doing it. So I want to give credit to him. But it's like I keep saying with this team, you have to get consistency from more than one player if you want to win in this league, let alone if you want to win as the season goes on. Again, I know there's injuries, but Jackson Robinson went from back-to-back 20-plus point games to 11 points against Alabama, 11 points against Vanderbilt. Kobe Brea was the best player maybe on the floor against Florida, has been very inconsistent going forward. And so you look at this team. By the way, Amari Williams, I've been critical of him. Kind of thought he got bullied a little bit in this game. I know the stats would maybe tell you, okay, he wasn't terrible, finished with 6 points, 5 rebounds. Kind of got bullied, didn't he? And so you look at this team, and I think it's a little frustrating if you're a Kentucky fan. You don't know what you're getting on any given night from anyone other than pretty much Otega-Oweh and Lamont Butler if he is in fact healthy. So I think it's frustrating if you're a Kentucky fan. And I think the other big thing that has emerged is that when you're away from Rupp Arena, or maybe the better way to put it is when you're in a true road environment, it does feel like, again, the offense kind of sputters, right? You look at the 4 road games that Kentucky has played this year, true road games, 66 points against Clemson on the road, 69 points against Georgia. Mississippi State, you did put up 95 at a win, 69 against Vandy. So this is a team that is top 5 in the country in scoring, that has scored over 100 points in 5 games this year. They've scored over 100. Well, guess what? In their 3 of their 4 road losses, they have scored under 70 points. And so, again, I think that's where you have to be concerned if you're a Wildcats fan, is just who are we getting consistency from? And more importantly, we're not getting it done on the road. Well, guess what? As I just told you, it doesn't get any easier. You still have at Tennessee. You still have at Ole Miss, which is one of the best defensive teams in college basketball. You still have at Alabama. Not sure if you checked. They're a national championship contender. And even Missouri. I mean, think about that. Those are the 4 remaining SEC road games that you have against 4 legitimate top 25 teams in Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. I think Tennessee and Alabama are legitimate Final Four contenders. I think Alabama is a legitimate national championship contender. You're going to see 2 of the best defensive teams in college basketball in Tennessee and Ole Miss. Missouri, what they do better than anybody is force a million turnovers. So if you're a Kentucky fan, again, panic probably isn't the right word, but it's just, it does feel like there is a little bit of regression. And I do think it's a little bit frustrating. I even saw, and listen, again, I'm not here to criticize Mark Pope and say, he's overrated or he's this or he's that. But I do think it's kind of interesting. He even said after the game that he thought there was a little fatigue with this game. That's not a great sign if you're coming off of a week in which you did not play. And oh, by the way, you did play 8-9 guys. I understand Andrew Carr's hurt. I understand Kirk Kreese's hurt. I didn't even mention that with the injuries. I think you need him as a backup point guard, because when Lamont Butler was out early, the team struggled to run offense. Now, when he came back in, he struggled as well. But fatigue feels like a weird thing to say when you played pretty consistently 8 guys in this game. But again, I just think it's that you need to get something consistent from somebody other than Otega Oweh. Lamont Butler is struggling right now. Kobe Brea and Jackson Robinson, you just don't know what you're going to get.